So we have the projectile and the Newton's law of motion. So dalawang topic to. So calculator, kailangan na naman ng calculator at syempre pang solve. So projectile motion and trajectory. So the definition between the two are what we call this, the difference between the two. An object thrown with the initial horizontal velocity and acted upon the Earth's pull of gravity is known as the projectile. So projectile travels in a curved path called the trajectory. As you notice, we have here the illustration. Kapag nagkaroon siya ng kapag naghagis ka ng isang bagay, for example in the basketball, di ba? Kapag nag-shoot ka ng bola, nag-perform siya ng a arc that will called a projectile. Tapos yung curve path na nabuo niya, that will be considered as a trajectory. Now, we have here the horizontal projection. So the horizontal projection that we will have here, the velocity of the projectile can be separated into horizontal and vertical components. So the vertical components v sub y varies while the horizontal components v sub x is constant. So in this case, kapag sinabi natin dito sa given natin, itong nasa x-axis natin, itong kulay blue na arrow, this is your b sub x. This is a constant. So, hindi siya nagbabago. While yung b sub y, yung red. So, nagbabago siya. So, the actual velocity, dr, is represented by the horizontal vector that form diagonal of the rectangle formed by vertical on horizontal component. So, this part, itong part na to ay galing, itong drawing na to, ay galing dito. Ayan. So, yan. Ito. Tapos, pabaliktad. Kung pabaliktad naman siya, ito naman siya. Ito yung naging Vy, tapos ito yung Vx, V sub x. Pabaliktad. So, in this case, ito yung Vx, tapos ito yung Vy. Ayan. So, in this case, para lang gagamit lang tayo ng Pythagorean formula. So, we will have the BR. This BR squared is equal to Bx sub x for the vertical component, horizontal component, and the B sub y squared, that is the horizontal component. So, this is taking the square, it will be x squared plus b sub y. That will be your b sub r. That is horizontal projection. Now, later natin siya gamitin. Let's have first this to the maximum height, dy, and horizontal distance, dx. So, it can be calculated using the formula for a freely falling body, and that is a constant speed motion respectively. So, d sub y is equal to g, where your g is 9.8, then t squared, that will be the time or total time of flight over 2. And your d sub x, that is dx times t. Ano po yung formula? Sulat po. Kasi gamitin na siya mamaya. Okay, so where t is the total time of flight, as I said. So, yun pa. Example natin, we have here. So, the given natin is Anton. And Anton claims that he can throw a dart at the dartboard a distance of 2 meters and hits the 5 centimeter wide bullseye. If he throw the dart horizontally with a speed of 20 meters per second, he start the throw at the same height as the top of the bullseye. So, will Anton hit the bullseye? So, that's the question. Now, in able to solve that given, ang given natin dito is we will have here the wait lang, ababa ka lang to. Yan. The given na naman natin dito is the given the d sub x. The d sub x natin that we'll have here is 2.0 or 2 meters. That is the distance. So, yan. The next is the P sub I, the initial velocity of x is equal to 20 meter per second. Ayan. Kasi if you throw the horizontal with the speed of 20 meters, that is initial. So magkakaroon tayo dito ng 20 meter per second. Then, ang hinahanap natin is D sub y. So, bakit kailangan natin hanapin yung D sub y? Kasi ang ano natin, based on the figure, we have here the illustration. Ito kasi yung D sub y na tinatawag itong part nito. So, gaano daw dapat kataas yung kanyang paghagis para ma-reach na yung bullseye doon sa dartboard. The first thing that we have to do is to the formula. Kailangan natin to use the D sub y or dy. Di ba meron tayo ditong time? Now, para makuha natin yung time is kailangan natin ng gamitin ang dx is equal to d sub x times the t. Kasi from this given kasi yung dx ang sakit sa tinga. Okay, so from the given, kasi makakuha tayo ng t. Kasi given natin yung dx at saka yung bi or b sub x. So from here, karoon tayo ng t is equal to, just divide, this will be dx over bx. So your t is equal to, your tx is 2 meter over your b sub x is equal to 20 meter per seconds. Now, if we're going to divide, 2 divided by 20, you can have the answer of 0.1 seconds. So, meron na tayong time. Now, we're not able, we can now get for the dy. To get for the dy, we will have dy is equal to g, then t squared over 2. Where g is 9.8 meter per second, so 9.8 lang. Then your time is 0.1 squared over 2. Now, paki-compute po. What will be the answer?
0.032.
You can have 0.
0.049 po.
Okay, 0.049. So, magkakaroon tayo dito ng 0.049 meter. That's your dy. Now, pero, nakalagay dito is hit the 5 cm wide bullseye. So, po-convert natin itong ating 0.49 into centimeter. So, this will be equal to 4.9 cm. Further. Now, ang tanong is, mahihit niya ba yung bullseye in terms of this given? If we're going to round it up into whole number, it will be 5 centimeters. So therefore, the question is, will Anton hit the bullseye? Yes, it will hit the bullseye if we're going to round up the 4.9 into a whole number. Kasi the 4.9 will be 5 centimeters. So ang tanong lang naman kasi dito is 5 centimeters bullseye. If horizontal with a speed of 20 meter per seconds. Pero kung bababa siya sa 20 meter per seconds, hindi niya ma-hit kasi bababa yung kanyang pagpatak. Maybe andito yung pag ano niya, pag ganyan. Dito kasi is straight line pero dapat ano siya parabolic. Maybe pag bumaba yung kanyang initial speed, papatak siya possible dito sa ganyan. Sa maybe hindi siya 4.9. So that's will be the sample number 1. Next, number 2. Example number 2. So an archer shoot an arrow horizontal at the target 15 meter away. Then the arrow is aimed directly at the center of the target, but it hits 25 centimeter lower. So what is the initial speed of the arrow? So the given in the problem. So the given that we will have here is the dx. Now, ano yung dx natin dito? Anyone?
meter po.
Okay, so we will have 15 meter as your dx. Ito siya. The target. Then after that is what will be your 25 centimeter? What given is the 25 centimeter? The target but hits 25 centimeter lower. So meron na tayong dx. What will be your 25 centimeter? Tinamaan daw ng mas mababa. So 25 centimeter lower. So therefore, that will be your, is this dy, is this dx, is this t? Ito what?
dy po, sir.
Okay, dy. So this is your dy kasi yung sa ilalim na ng target eh. Parang dito yan, ito diba? Yung target, the part. So that's considered as your dy. That is 25 cm. But we are going to convert kasi 25 cm ay dapat natin convert sa meter. So therefore, we are going to use the 1 meter is equal to 100 cm. So this will be 25 cm times 100 and 1 meter. Wait lang. Yung bata.
Sige, sana po kung
So, this will take as 25 divided by 100, magkakaroon tayo ng 0.25 meter. So, this is equal to 0.25 meter. Next. Sabi dito, what is the initial speed? So, therefore, what are you going to get? So, we need to get for the initial speed. Initial speed stands for the VI. Yan. So, therefore, we need to find first the time. So, find for the initial. Meron tayong dx, meron tayong dy. Kung gagamit tayo ng dx is equal to bx times t. Ito yung kailangan natin, the bx. Pero wala tayong time. So, if we're going to use dy is equal to gt over 2. Now, makakakuha tayo ng time dito. So, in dy, magkakaroon tayo dito ng 0.25 is equal to 9.8. Then, t squared over 2. Then, multiply lang natin ito dito. 0.25 times 2, this will be 0.5 is equal to, this is 9.8 t squared. Then, divide both side by 9.8. So, cancel out. So, t squared is equal to 0.5 over 0.8. What will be your time if you're going to get to the square root of both sides? What's the answer? Zero point 79. Sure. 9.8 to ha. 9.8 pala. Not 0 point. Sorry. Square root of 0.5 over 9.8. Not 0.8. Kamali na sulat. This is 0.23, 22. Anong kasunod ni ano?
23 po.
23. Okay. Ayan. That's the time. So, meron na tayong time. Then, makakakuha na tayo ng Vx or the initial velocity. So, in this case, ang Vx natin ay 15. So, this is 15 is equal to Vx or Bi times yung time natin which is 0.23. Then, divide both sides natin 0.23. So, your V or initial velocity, Bix, is equal to 15 divided by 0.23. So, Vi is equal to, so cancel out. What is the initial velocity?
$65.22 po.
So, this will be 65.22 meter per seconds. So, ito yung ulitin natin ha. We have the dx which is 15, the dy is 25 centimeter. We converted this as the 0.25 meter by 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter. Ang question dito is what is the initial speed of the arrow? So, to find for the bi, ang formula nito ay related sa part na to, which is the dx is equal to bx or the di x times the t. Since kailangan ng time, gumamit tayo ng dy is equal to gt squared over 2 kasi ginamit natin to kasi given ang dy which is 0.25 to find for the t. Then multiply 0.25 times that is 0.5 is equal to 9.8. So this galing yung 9.8. This is our lesson last time, which is the value of the gravity. So t squared. So that's the 9.8 divided by 9.8 and taking the square root kasi may squared yung given natin. So we can have 0.23. Then after that, we can now find for the initial velocity kasi given na yung dx which is the 15. Then divide both sides, we can have 65.22 meter per seconds. Question? Okay, so let's have the projection at the arbitrary angle. So when a projectile is fired with an initial velocity at an angle above the horizontal, the initial velocity vi can be resolved into a rectangular components. So ito po siya. Then we have here the initial velocity on x, that will be a cosine theta, and for the initial velocity of y is equal to sine theta. Projectile always experience a constant vertical acceleration due to the pull of gravity as they rise and falls. The vertical displacement and vertical velocity can be solved by using the formula for uniform acceleration motion. So we have the dy is equal to b sub iy plus g t squared over 2. You are familiar with this given. Then we have here the final velocity of y squared minus the initial velocity of y squared over 2g, and the final velocity can be the initial plus the gravity times the time. Ayan. Okay. Pakisulat pa yung formula. Gagamitin natin siya mamaya. Okay na. You can take a screenshot na lang if you want. Okay? You're familiar with the formula naman yung sa last part. Call lang natin dito is the cosine theta at saka sa sine theta. Then, as the projectile rises, it decreases its vertical velocity and the peak of the trajectory, it becomes zero. So, once na-reach na yung kanyang yung pinakamataas, parang yung, di ba, pag nag-agos ka ng bola, tataas. Tumigil yung screen ko. Ito, meron kayo nito.
Okay.
BI sin theta G. Meron?
Meron po.
Meron. Ito, meron kayo ito.
Wala po.
Okay, so pakikopya po yung 2 BI sin theta over G and the dy is equal to BI sin theta squared over 2G. Pasensya na yung Zoom ko, pagod na. Okay na. Okay? Ito lang. Wait. Okay, so let's have now the next. Ito, pakikopya po ito. Okay na? Okay, so let's have the problem. So, ayan. Maninang problem na aking dinidiscuss din naman pala na sa inyong screen. So, let's have here, a long jumper leaves the ground at the angle of 30 degrees horizontal at the speed of 6 meter per second. So, how far does he jump? So, ulitin ko, yung jumper, di ba, long jumper dyan, starting, tapos pag ganyan siya. Tatalon siya pag ganyan. Tapos maglaland siya somewhere in the field. So, nagkakaroon siya ng parabolic arc. Tapos, given natin is the theta, which is equal to 30 degrees, and the VI, for the initial velocity, which is 6 meter per seconds. Paki-PM ako ulit kung ano hindi sa inyo reflect. Now, we are having the solutions. The solutions natin are, we have to find or how far. We can now find the dx or the range. Now, para mas madali natin gamitin, o para mas madali mag-solve rather, gamitin na lang natin yung R. Kasi kung gagamitin natin yung dx, although pwede naman siya, kaso the dx is equal to v times t or pi. Kailangan pa natin kumuha ng time. While in the range, kung gagamitin natin yung r is equal to bi squared sine 2 theta over g. No need to get for the time. So, if you want, ay pwede din mong gamitin to, pero kukuha ka muna ng time para magamit mo yung dx bi times the t based on the given problem. Since meron naman other option that the r is equal to bi squared sine 2 theta over g, ito na yung gamitin natin. So, your r is equal to bi. What is your bi? This will be 6 squared sine 2 then 30 over 9.8. So your r is equal to 36, then sine 2 times 30, this will be 60 over 9.8. So your r, compute po, parang ko dito ng 36 sine 60 divided by 9.8.
$3.181 po.
3.181
181.
or 3.18 meter. So that is the range. Okay pa? How to use the formula. Okay, next problem. So the next problem is a cannonball on the ground is fired at 35 degrees with an initial velocity of 200 meters per seconds. So yun yan. Then, letter A, how long will it take to hit the ground? How far from a cannonball will it hit the ground? Then letter C, compute the maximum height to be reached by a cannon. So, ang tanong dito is how long will it take to hit the ground? So, how long will this time? How far this range? Then, the maximum height is the dy. Okay, or y max na tinatawag natin or dy. So, what are the given? Let's identify the given. So, given natin is the theta, which is equal to 35 degrees. Vi is equal to 250 meter per seconds. Now, what formula are you going to use to find for the time? So, nakalagay dito, find time, find the range, and find for the dy. So, solution, find t, find r, and find dy. So, let's have the solution. To find time. To find time, ang formula natin is 2 vi sine theta over g. So this is 2 times 250 times sine, yung angle natin is 35 over 9.8. Now, what will be the time? Anyone? El Mundo, may sagot ka ba dyan? What is the time?
1.33 po.
1.33?
I want-
Sure?
143.39.
Yes, Kamitan. What's your answer? May answer ka pa dyan? 1.33.
Layo ng sagot ko, sir.
Ang layo na sagot mo. Yes, Pearl. What is your answer?
Wait lang. Nawala. Wait lang. Ano po, 29.26?
That will be 29.26 seconds. Ang layo ng 1.33. You can have 2 times. That is 2 times 250. That's 500. 500 sine 35 equals, just divided by 9.8. So, you can have 29.26 seconds. They have the same answer, Therese.
Opo.
Okay, so next is we have meron na tayong time. Let's go with the range to find naglulukto nga iba na. To find R. Your R is equal to BI squared sine 2 theta over G. So your R is equal to 250 squared sine 2 times 35 all over 9.8. So, paki-compute po yung R. While 50 squared equals, then sine 70 na to kasi 2 times 35 is 70 divided by 9.8. What's the answer? Well, answer, Clemenia. Loyola, what's the answer? Wala pa. Yes, Nathan, what's the answer?
5,992.94.
5,992.94.
94.
Okay, meter. So you can have 5,992.94 meter as the range. Yung canon kasi, ganito siya. Di ba, dito yun. Dito yung canon. Pag ganito rin siya, yan, pag ganyan. So itong range na to is 5,992.94. Yan daw yung layo niya. Tapos yung time niya, kung simula dito hanggang dito, papunta dito, that is 29.26 bago siya mag-hit sa ground. So, the next is the compute for the maximum height, the dy. So, to find dy. Now, to find for your dy, the formula that we're going to use is, or the maximum y max na tinatawag natin is the bi squared sine squared theta over 2g. So your dy is equal to, given see this is 250 squared sine sine 35, ayan na po to, ganyan, squared over 2 times 9.8. So your dy, pwede na lang natin dito, Okay, compute. Oh, what's the answer? 1,000?
2,996.
Parang ang layo.
1,049 po.
Your answer will be, sino may sagot na 1,049.08? That's the answer? Okay, so that's the answer. Ang layo ng 2,000. Karoon ka ng your dy and...
Sir, ano po?
Yes. Ha?
1,049 po. 1,049.08 po.
Tama. So, you can have 1,049.08. Ito yung the maximum height to be reached. Ito yung pinakataas niya. Dito siya sa part niya. Yan. Yung pinakataas na, yung pinakamataas na ma-reach ng cannonball pataas. So, kasi di ba mapaganon yun. Yun. So, that is the maximum height. So, that's 1,049.08 meter. Okay na? For part, let's have one particular player can produce an initial velocity of 5 meter per second if the player throw a ball from the height of 2 meter at an angle of 45 degrees. Find the maximum height reached by the ball, find the maximum horizontal range, and the time of flight to reach the ball at the maximum height. Yan. So, nakalagay dito is find the maximum height. Ito yung dy. Now, meron ka ditong 2. Ano gagawin mo kay 2 kung meron kang kukunin mo yung dy? What you're going to do is, kung ano yung sagot mo dito, pa-plus mo lang siya ng 2. Kasi meron ka ng 2 dito from the height of 2. Next, the angle is 45. So, this is d45. The next is we have here the maximum range. This is r. The time for the ball to reach the maximum height. Ang tinatanong lang dito is the maximum height. So, given. Ano yung given natin dito? The VI, which is 5 meter per seconds. The theta is equal to 45 degrees. Yung dy mo, na may plus 2. So, i-add natin yung plus 2. I-add nyo yung plus 2 doon. So, whatever na dy na makukuha. So, ano yung formula natin dito? Yung formula is the range. Given na yung range. What is the r? Ito. di squared. Sine 2 theta ba? 2 theta. Over G. Wait lang. Check ko lang yung 4.2. Next, yung dy mo, ang formula for the dy is di squared. Sine theta squared over 2g. Yun na yan. Next, check ko lang dito. Wait lang ha. Kasi may iba pang ano. For your time, ang gagamitin yung formula ay T is equal to BI sin theta over G. Now, bakit walang 2 sa unahan? Kasi the time for the ball to reach the maximum height. Yung maximum height lang. Yung kung may parabolic siya, yung dito lang. Kapag may 2, simula dito, yan, hanggang dito, tapos simula papunta pababa. Kaya nagkaroon siya ng 2. Since ang given lang natin is the time of light, we will just BI sin theta G. Ito yung saan siya galing. Dito, ito. Okay na? So, yan po lahat ng... Okay, so let's continue. We will have now here the Newton's law of motion. In this Newton's law of motion, so, nanonood mo na kayo ng video para mas maintindihan kung ano ba si Newton's law of motion.
Who lived from 1642 to 1727. Let's first learn about the first law of motion. It is also called the law of inertia. It states objects will remain at rest or in uniform motion in a straight line unless acted upon by an external unbalanced force. To understand Newton's first law completely, we need to learn about inertia first. See, this is a very large sofa. What's special about it? It's stable. It is not moving. Now go ahead and try to move it. Oh, you can't. It's not willing to move. You can't move it as it is very large. Now try to move this small stone. Good. You can move it a little bit, but you had to put in a lot of effort. It was also like it didn't want to move from its original position. Even the smaller things don't want to change their positions. They don't want to move. Even a small stone takes some effort to move. This is the first rule of physics. Things like to stay where they are. No object in this universe would start moving unless some external effort is put on it. It's like all things in the world are lazy. Now the question is, if things are lazy and they don't want to move, then how does the movement happen? The answer is that there are so many things in the universe which push and pull other things and force them to shift their positions, like you force the small stone to move. But as we said earlier that things are lazy, they would try and stop their movement as soon as the effort was removed. Well, you'll be wrong if you think like that. You'd find it very strange to accept that when a small stone was still, it wanted to stay still. And once you'd put it in motion after putting some effort, it would like to keep on moving. In reality, it would keep on moving forever and ever. But somehow it stops. But it stops not because it wants to stop. It stops moving because things in its path force it to stop. It may be due to air, or if it bumps into a tree or rough surface on the ground. But suppose there were no tree in its way, or there was no roughness on the surface, and also imagine that it does not have poles or trees in its way. The stone would never stop. It would keep on moving. It happens in outer space, where there's no air or roughness. If you kick a small stone, it'd keep on moving and would never stop. So how can we say that things are lazy? See, the small stone wanted to move forever, but it was stopped by the resistance of air, trees, or roughness of surface. It's like you moving on a slippery road. You'd keep on moving unless there was some effort put in to stop you. The same is true with the small stone in outer space. It would keep moving, as nothing came in its way. It also doesn't want to stop as it is too lazy to do that. So now we can change the first rule of physics. Things want to stay in the position they are, to things want to keep doing what they are already doing. If things are at rest, they want to stay at rest. And if things are moving, they want to keep moving. In other words, things are lazy. So there's a lot of laziness in the universe. Physicists have a special name for this laziness. It is known as inertia. So now you understand Newton's first law of motion. Can you write it? Well, you are very much right. Now let's move on to Newton's second law. As we know from the first law that to overcome the inertia of an object, we have to apply unbalanced force. Newton's second law talks about how fast an object would move. Well, it states acceleration of an object depends on the mass of the object and the amount of force applied. In mathematical terms, Newton's second law states that force is the product of mass and acceleration. To cause an object to accelerate or speed up, a force must be applied. The more force you apply, the quicker you accelerate. Look at these two swings. If you apply the same force on both swings, check whose goes faster. Let's first push the little kid. See? It goes very high. Now push this fat man with the same force. See, it does not go far because it has more mass than the little kid. So the more mass there is, the force required to push the object is also greater. Let's look at the mathematical formula of the second law again. It's the product of mass and acceleration. We've already learned that if there's more mass in an object, to move it, we need more force. Now let's see this kid sitting in the swing. If we apply little force, then it goes a small distance. Now if we apply a lot more force, it goes very high. So to get more acceleration, we need to apply higher force. So now you can understand the relation among force, mass, and acceleration. Until now, we've only learned the first and second laws of motion. Oh, you're riding a bicycle. Have you ever wondered why a bicycle moves forward? Well, it moves according to Newton's third law, which says that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. To understand this, see what happens when you drop a tennis ball. As the tennis ball hits the floor, it causes a downward force on the floor. This is the action. The floor reacts by pushing on the ball with the same force, but in the opposite direction. Action, reaction. Together, the floor and the ball form what's called the action-reaction pair. So now how it applies to your bicycle. When you push the pedal, the parts of the tire which touch the ground push it backwards. The ground also pushes the tires forward with the same force. So the parts of tires and earth form a pair of action and reaction. So what happens to the earth when your tires are applying force to push it backwards? Huh? Nothing happens to it, since the earth is very big as compared to your bicycle. The force applied by your tires does not move it backwards, but force applied by the earth pushes your bicycle forward. So now you understand Newton's third law. Yep, the tennis ball is the right example. The ball and the floor are creating a pair of action and reaction.
First law of motion is the law of inertia. When we say law of inertia, it's a natural tendency of object to maintain the state of rest or to remain uniform and straight. Gagalaw lang yung bagay kung may magpapagalaw. Kasi we have here the inertia. Parang sa ano yung relasyon, diba? Hindi naman magkakainlaban yung dalawa kung walang i-initiate. Yun. That is the first law of motion, this law of inertia in real life. So the next, number 2, Newton's number 2. The example, an object will not change its motion unless acted by an unbalanced force. So yan po yung another example of that. So the more force dapat, the more mass, that is the more force. That is considered for the second law of motion is law of acceleration, which is ito naman talaga yung normally na ginagamit, which is the F is equal to ma. That is mass times the acceleration. So the unit for the force is N, malaking N. That is a example natin here is the 3.5 kilogram papaya is pushed across a table. Tapos, if the acceleration of the papaya is 2.2 meter per second squared to the left, then what is the net external force exerted on the papaya? So, given, the given natin dito is the mass, which is equal to 3.5 kilogram. Then the acceleration, which is 2.2 meter per second squared. Now we have to find for F, or the force. So solution, we can have F is equal to ma. So the mass is equal to 3.5. Then the acceleration is 2.2. So therefore, your F, just multiply 3.5 times 2.2. Magkakaroon tayo dito ng 7.7 N. Bigger N. That's considered as a Newton. So what's the direction? This will be to the left. Okay po. Question? Kailangan naman yun. F is equal to MA. Next problem. Next problem is 0.05 kilogram tennis ball approaches a racket at 25 meter per second. If its contact with the racket string for 0.005 seconds, then rebounds at 25 meter per second, what is the average contact force between the ball and the racket? Now, iyan po yung ating given, iyan yung ating problem. Now, the given in the problem, paulan na, meron tayong final velocity, which is negative 25 meter per seconds. Ba't siya negative 25? Kasi it rebounds. That's the final. Kasi di ba, imagine, kapag tumama naman talaga yung tennis racket do, ang bola doon sa tennis racket is nagre-rebounds. So that's why this is negative 25 seconds. Then the initial velocity is also 25 meter per seconds. Kasi it's approaches. Yan. Then the time, the given time is 0.005 seconds and the mass is equal to 0.050 kilogram. Yan. Then find F for the force. Now to find for the formula is F is equal to MA. Wala tayong A. So to find A muna tayo. Find A. In finding A, gamit tayo ng previous formula natin, that PF minus BI over time. Yung A natin is yung A natin A is equal to BF. The final velocity is negative 25 minus 25 over the time, which is 0.005. So the acceleration that we will have is negative, or deceleration is negative 10,000 meter per seconds. Yan. Then, find F. We can now find F. So, F is equal to MA. So, yung mass natin is 0.050 multiplied by negative 10,000. So, yung force natin, this will be negative 500 Newton. Now, bakit siya negative? Kasi, what is the average contact force between the ball and the racket? Now, kasi siya ay negative kasi yung bagay, yung bola, yung racket is along with the ball. So, kailangan to rebound kasi, ihahatawin mo kasi siya. Kaya that's why this is a negative 500 Newton. So, yun po yan. Question? Sino ba ito? Wala naman. So, yun. Okay, so let's have the example number 3. A constant net force of 200 Newton is exerted to accelerate a car from rest to a velocity of 400 meters per second in 10 seconds. So, what is the mass? Let's identify the given. Give 1. Magbigay ng isang given. Wala na yung video ko. Please give one given in this problem. Yes, Angelito.
200N po.
O, ano yung 200N?
F po.
Ha?
F.
Anong S?
F po.
F. The force. It's 200 Newton. Another given. Yes, Pearl.
Ano po, acceleration 40 meter per seconds.
So, logo.
Ay, velocity pala. Velocity po pala.
Ano yung velocity na 40 meter seconds? Meron tayong dalawa eh.
Ah.
Is this final or initial?
Ano po, initial?
Alahin natin ha. Exerted to accelerate a car from rest to a velocity of 40 meter per seconds. From rest to 40 meter per second. What is 40? Initial or final? Anyone?
Final po.
That's final. So this is PF. 40 meter per second. What is BI?
0 po.
0. Bakit siya naging 0? Kasi from rest. Rest is walang mangyayari. That's why this is 0. Now, what another given? The time is 10 seconds. Let's find first. We are finding for M, the mass. Our formula is F is equal to MA. Do we have A? Wala pa. So, find A muna. How to find A? A is equal to BF minus BI over T. Yung ating formula. So, A is equal to 40 minus 0 over the time of 10. So, what is the acceleration? Nathan.
4 po.
We can have 4 meter per second squared. And we can now use the formula. F is equal to MA. Our mass, we have to find for the mass. Our force is 200 M times 4. So, divide by 4. Divide by 4. Cancel out. Yung M natin, what is our M? 200 divided by 4. Yes, Toledo. What's the answer? Bigyan lang tayo Toledo. What's the answer? Okado. Bigyan na. Ako na nga.
50 po, sir.
We're gonna have 50 kilogram. So, yun po yung ating magiging mass. Okay? So, next is the third law of motion, the law of interaction. So, as you notice on the picture, we will have here the skateboard. The reaction, ito ay tatalon sa skateboard. So, kapag tumalon ka sa skateboard, yung skateboard ay papunta dito. That will be the reaction opposite. Yung tao na tatalon ay pupunta dito. So, imagine, kapag tumalon siya, tatalsik si skateboard. That is the law of action and reaction. So, that is the third law of motion. Yun lang naman yan. 239, kaya pa to. Okay. So, to avoid an accident, a driver stepped on the brake to stop a 100,000 car traveling at 65 km per hour. If the braking distance is 35 meter, how much force is necessary to stop the car? Okay, so let's identify the given. Ang tanong nito is force. So, therefore, we will have here F. So, the given, meron tayo dito is the M is equal to 1,000 kilogram. Now, what is 65 kilometer per hour? Up to 65 km per hour. To avoid an accident, a driver step on the brake to stop a 1,000 car traveling at 65 km per hour. This is initial or
po.
yes, this is
Initial.
velocity. This is initial velocity. 65 km per hour. But we need to convert this. So therefore, magkaroon tayo ng 65 km per hour times this is 1,000 km 1,000 meter. And 1 kilometer times 3,000. That's 1 hour per lang. This is 1 hour and 3,600. Am I right? Baliktad. Yung mga ito nagre-react. Kasi cancel. Ayan. You can have 65 times 1,000 divided by 3,600. What's the answer?
$18.0506.
18.06. This is 18.06 meter per second. Now, what is our BF? This will be 0 meter per seconds. Kasi it will be stopped. Now, what will be our A? Ito yung BF minus BI over walang ating dito natin. Time. Braking distance. Yan. To find for your time, gamit tayo ng pinakaunang formula natin last time. The D is equal to V times T. Do we have this kind of formula? Meron tayo yan. So therefore, this is correction. This is EP. Magkaroon tayo dito ng 35 is equal to your BI plus BF over 2 times the time because we need to find for the time. So therefore, 35 is equal to yung BI natin ay 0 plus yung BF natin is 18.06 divided by 2. Then you can get the time. Then after getting for the time, magkaroon ko ngayon ng isa-substitute mo siya dito to get for your time. Yan. Then after that, kung makuha mo na yung A, pwede mo lang gamitin yung F is equal to MA. Okay. Let's go.